All right, so is this thing working too right now? Pulls those bushings out of the axle. I think the problem I'm having is because you're so close to me. It like makes me want to look at your face. YouTube, this is my brother Cole. Hello, everybody. Say hello.
It looks stock on outside, second gen swap. It might hold the horsepower, it might not. Who knows? We broke it the first time, second time's a charm. Here we go.
All right, guys. So my name's Blade Martin. For all you guys that don't know who I am, I've been building suspension for about 8 years now. Really started with air ride, or if we go all the way back, really started it was exhaust systems. Started exhaust systems, fuel tanks, started doing like turbo kit types of stuff, and then I kind of moved to air rides. So this is going to be our first truck starting our YouTube channel. This truck is Alex's. This has an 800 horsepower built motor, built transmission, and is now going to have one of my cradle kits on it, triangulated rear, long arm front, air ride kits. So, yeah, really we sell anything really high quality. We try to build some of the most high quality products on the market is basically what we do. So all the stuff that we build is either laser cut or it's CNC machined. And so we're trying to basically give you guys the best products that we possibly can. Now we're going to show you guys the quality stuff we build, and hopefully that will, help the company. You guys can learn more about us. Like if you guys go through my Instagram or you go to the website, you'll see some of the bushings that we designed. They actually work on the inside of axle housings. We can go into that here in a little bit later. So we built these bushings that replace your stock bushings for your 4-link. So you can use them in almost every aftermarket 4-link, but they're not really for a radius arm setup. All right, so yeah, another thing, is the tool. I designed a tool that actually pulls the bushings out of your axles on all Ram trucks from 14 to current, and then we also have the puller that goes from all Ford trucks from 05 to current as well. And then we do have some hydraulic clips. They work on PEX piping, hydraulics, PVC, wiring, all kinds of stuff, really 3/4 inch line. Like I said, if you go on the website, go to RazorSharpPerformance.com, you can see all of our hats, t-shirts, jackets. We do have a lot of merchandise. But what I do want to get a lot out of this first video is that I want you guys to tell us what you want to see. So obviously as we build the truck, that'll give you more information on how we operate as a business and what we do as a business and the type of products that we're able to provide to you guys, because a lot of the stuff we do is custom, so it's not really for everybody. But if you do buy something from us, it's going to be the best thing you can possibly get your hands on. So like I said, what I really want to get a lot of is I want you guys to ask us questions. Ask me questions. Tell me what you want to see. Did you like that last video that we had? Really just a lot of information. And so I think we can build a pretty good community around, obviously, the things that we build. So basically what we've done here is we've got Alex's truck up off the ground. I've pretty much leveled it off, so it's level from front to rear now. This is how we're going to basically start working on the suspension. We'll take the tires off, the wheels and tires off, and then after we shave everything off the rear axle, that is going to allow us to obviously put our clamping system on there so that you can actually see how all of that is going to work, because there's a lot of work to be done on the back of this truck because these trucks already have a pre-existing 4-link. That 4-link is good for stock application and probably a couple inches higher, but after that you start adding lifts to these trucks. They just don't really do the job that you're asking them to do. So when you want to do a long travel system like this, you really need longer links, really should be just triangulated. That's what we're going to do in the back. We're going to triangulate this truck, no more track bar, and then a long travel steering kit in the front. So like we were talking about before, so we're going to have a long travel 4-link front. So as you guys can see now, this actually has a Carly system in it now. So Carly stuff is pretty good for the guys that want a pretty soft ride with a coilover system, but obviously we're changing this to airbags. So what I wanted to show you is the actual system that we are using. We are going to use the 16-inch travel airbag. And so this bag here that I'm putting this bracket onto, this is traditionally a type of airbag that you would use for like a 10-inch travel system. Now this bag does compress actually pretty close to the same height as this 10-inch travel bag. The only difference is this one is 16 inches, so you got a lot of travel. Basically, this truck is going to go from the bump stops all the way up to an 8-inch lift. But this gives you guys an idea of the type of airbag that we're using. This is a Firestone bag, so pretty high quality airbag. It's going to give you a really soft ride and a lot of travel. So we're taking off these wheels, and then obviously after we take the wheels off, we're going to pull out the shocks, coils. In the front, we're going to basically, do the coil shocks and then that radius arm. So what you're going to see is that I have disconnected, most importantly, just disconnect your shocks, because your shocks are going to limit how far this spring and your suspension is able to sag. And the second thing you need to do is that when you're going to do this at home, you need to understand that your radius arms are always going to try to find center line because of how these actual bushings are made. They're very hard, so they want to go straight. So what you're going to do is you're going to disconnect your steering and you're going to disconnect your track bar going to the other side of the vehicle. What that's going to do is actually allow the axle to center itself. And the best way you can tell is you will see it actually in your sway bar end links. These are going to look straight when you're looking at them from the front. And so when those go straight, you know your axle is pretty center. From there, you can kind of do some measurements. I typically do it from like the face of the caliper or the rotor to like somewhere on the side of the frame on both sides of the vehicle. That's the best way. If you're just doing it with tape measure and like some straight edges and stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to tear that down. We're going to take the track bar, steering, all that stuff apart, and then we'll show you how the axle is actually centered. So you can now see we've detached the steering, right? Your drag link and your track bar. Track bar is not attached to the frame anymore. This link here for your sway bar is obviously a lot straighter now. So you can actually tell that the axle is already trying to align itself. So it's not perfect yet because we got to take a little bit of weight off it. Obviously the axles are sitting on top of these jack stands, so that is still keeping it to the driver's side of the truck. But these radius arms in the front will actually help you align the truck as long as you just do the drag link and the track bar when you detach those to put on our system. You can clearly see what I did here is we disconnected sway bar, track bar. We did leave the sway bars attached. That is going to limit the amount of drop you have. So depending on your spring rate, you might not actually be able to get the coil out because it is going to allow, for more travel. So we pull the coils out. This is where, when we finally come back after we have replaced this with our 4-link system, we will actually attach our lower bag mount and then our upper bag mount to the front of the truck. So that is that's where we're at.
So now that we got the coils out, what are we doing?
We're just going to lift the axle up a little ways, get it more, I guess, in line with kind of where we want to be able to set our brackets and whatnot. So, well, I guess we want to set our brackets for our air ride. But we're going to take the shocks out and whatnot. So we're just going to set this stuff up so it'll rest. And that way we can kind of start working on the rear of the truck as well. We're going to try to take the bed off with how badly these bolts are acting at the moment. It's going to be fairly difficult, but there's only 6 bolts to take out, a couple wires, and your filler neck for your fuel tank that we got to unhook. After that, this is pretty easy, but we got to take all this stuff off so we can cut all these frame mounts for your short 4-link, and then we'll kind of show you everything that we're going to cut off here in just a little bit after we get this bed off. We are getting everything detached in the rear end here. So we took the track bar off, pretty much loosened the brakes up. Well, brake calipers are off. We're going to have to detach these emergency brake lines. Those are definitely one of the harder. If there's anything that's difficult about taking these things apart, you're going to hate doing the emergency brakes. So, yeah, see, I'm not even going to probably stuck this one. Gotta obviously unhook the emergency brake. We've gotten most of everything loose. You can see one of the calipers. Took that off. Disconnected all those small lines on the diff and down the backside of this axle. And now we're going to start pulling the rest of that apart so we can get us your axle out. Okay, so you can more closely see kind of what the rear axle of a 2500 looks like if you've never been under your truck before. Basically, you can tell this bracket, this whole thing has to come off. So this is very high mounted, and as you've seen on our other systems, they're a lot lower. So the other link, basically on our triangulated setup, comes in down here where our lower link would be. That's where our upper is now. And then our other one is basically way down here. So bump stop bracket, or whatever you want to call it, bump stop bracket needs to come off, shock bracket needs to come off, and this is going to come off. Then we're going to actually attach our airbags right where our old coilovers used to be. So the airbag mount will mount right on here. It does go through these two factory holes that you have, so that's a direct bolt on. But the rest of this, there's quite a bit of work to be done. So that's what your rear axle looks like. And then if we go over there to the other bracket, now you can more closely see. By singling it out, you can see this whole bracket needs to be cut off, and then this whole bracket needs to be cut off. When you cut this off, if you're using a plasma torch and you start trying to cut really close to the frame, just understand, if you do that, you could potentially cut into the actual frame itself. So the best thing to do here is it's kind of webbed. So what you'll do is you'll cut down fairly low. You can cut this whole piece off, kind of over to this other weld, and then when you get in there, there's another inner piece right there, and you cut that web, and then you can cut that, and then that'll actually allow you to pull this whole thing off. And then you can either cut it flush with a grinder, that looks just fine, or you can try to go along this weld. But if you go along that weld with a grinder, you're gonna have to be careful, because you don't want to get, obviously, again, you don't want to get into your frame and actually destroy the integrity of your frame. So that's kind of where we're at with the truck. We're gonna start tearing that rear axle down in the frame itself. Alright guys, so you can see we've got the majority of everything cut off. Here's your bump stop bracket, right? Used to go right there. This is your 4-link bracket that used to go there. And then this is your track bar bracket that was in the back. Obviously we've smoothed all that off. Like I said, try to, when you're cutting this with the plasma torch, be really, really careful you don't hurt the housing. This is what obviously stock used to look like. Right now, Logan's in there, obviously doing our steering and stuff. So you can see, even down all the way down to here, our shock bracket will be down here. We've got all that smoothed off as well. Got a little bit of stuff to clean up. Obviously, the axle's pretty dirty, but that will change after we get the rest of this stuff off. We got a PSC hydraulic steering assist. This steering assist obviously comes with a brand new steering box as well. So this is a pretty nice setup. We aren't running massive tires on here, but it just overall helps your whole steering setup. So we're obviously going to drain all the fluid out of the power steering box. We're going to pull the steering box out from right here, unhook all the lines and whatnot, and then we're going to put in that new PSC steering box. So we'll give you guys an update as we get further into this.
Okay, I am taking out this power steering box. We're going to put in a PSC Hydro Assist. Well, not so big tires, but at least it'll help steer. So it'll be nice.
I'll do that off then first.
Well, I got everything out. I changed out the hydraulic boxes, and then I put in new hydraulic lines, and then I'll be putting in the arm to help push the tires.
There's a couple different ways you can cut this off. We can either cut this off flat and flush with the bottom of the frame. That looks just fine. You don't really have to mess with the whole side of the actual frame itself to cut all these welds off. So at first, I'm probably going to just cut this off. If it needs to move as we go to set up our shocks, I will cut this off, but we're doing kind of a custom setup, so we got to see what will work and what won't. Right now, I'm going to cut this bracket off first, and then I'll show you what that looks like after I'm done. All right, so guys, this is the way I would like to see you do it. So you can see where my finger is here and my finger is down here. That is right along the bottom of the frame. Now, to some of you, this might not look the best, but if you clean this up with a grinder, you can make this look pretty nice. And the reason that it needs to most of the time be done like this and not go the full cut is because there's a lot of risk in trying to actually follow that weld line, and the probability of you cutting into the frame, if this is your first time, is pretty high. So I would rather see you flush cut this on the back and the front and then just grind that smooth. So we cut this off smooth with the bottom, as you can see. So if you guys decide that this is in your way and you got to cut it off, I'm going to show you the best way to cut it off. So you got two welds on the top, here and here. What we're going to do is we're going to cut this in half, and then we're basically going to peel it back each way and just break it right off in the weld, and then you can clean this off after you do that. So I'll show you how to do that. Well, you got that press wrench. Gosh dang it. Damn thing is stuck in there. So you can see how that basically just peeled back, and now all that's left is the weld. So now you can just grind that weld smooth. All right, so we have put Alex's truss and set up the rear triangulated system for the rear axle. Obviously, this is a little bit further along than you guys saw before, because now we have our brackets attached to the axles. Actually, one of them, our leaf spring mount is actually welded to the axle, and now we have the clamp on there. So the rear end is pretty much mocked up to where we can start putting bags, the airbags and the airbag brackets on there, and then we're going to do the shocks. So we're going to move to the front, start doing the steering and the links up front, but this is going to be our official video for YouTube. I hope you guys like it. Ask us any questions that you might have, what you like seeing, what you don't like seeing, if this is helping you guys, because hopefully in the end, you guys will be able to buy this whole truss system from us and then actually install it on your own truck. If you want to see the truck at this stage, aired up with wheels and tires on it, you're going to have to go to our next video. So this is our first one, ending the introduction into the build series. So our second video is going to have more of this. So go to our next video.